This is a clip from an earlier live stream. I know you're going to like it, so the link to the full video is down below. Check it out. I'll see you over there.
One other fun thing about being Candace's husband and being slightly less in front of the limelight than she is that
This is something, okay, and we've talked about this. I don't know what it is, but this faux humility of George Farmer to, again, I elevate my wife. My wife is a rock star. I elevate her. But you would never hear me get up here and literally drag myself through the schlogs in order to just elevate my wife. Like I'm quick to say, we were at a party 2 nights ago, and I was quick to say, yeah, my wife's a rock star. But I'm not minimizing myself in order to make my wife a rock star. No, my wife's a rock star, and I was smart enough to find her before she was a rock star. Absolutely. Like, what is this thing that he does? I've never understood this. I don't understand this. If you're married and this is how you do, please let me know how they do this, because it doesn't make sense to me. All right, let's go.
Inevitably blamed for whatever it is that she's talking about currently. And, on Tuesday, I'm working for the Russians. On Wednesday, I'm working for Qatar. On Thursday, pick your poison, I'm sometimes working for the Mossad or another, intelligence agency. But recently, I actually picked up on one which was new to me, which I was quite excited about. It was an Orthodox rabbi who came out and said, well, the reason Candace Owens is such a horrific anti-Semite and all these horrible things is because her husband is a sedevacantist. And this was the first time that I've been accused of being a sede, but, there we go. And I actually thought this was quite funny because, of course, if they had known...
Now, if you're just jumping in, this speech was done on November 29th, right around the end of November. So everything that Candace has been saying since Charlie Kirk was assassinated is well on everybody's mind. Everybody knows. And of course, the people with long memories even remember what she said about the Macrons. So the jokes and the things that he's saying are pretty interesting, are pretty tone deaf considering where we are. This is not just a out of pocket, whatever. And I don't know what this organization is that he allegedly is a part of, that he's making fun of. I don't know. We should probably look into it because he probably is a member of it. Let's go.
And if this rabbi had known that the origin of my invitation to the CIC came on a day when another great Catholic event happened. It was May the 8th. 2 things happened. 1, I was invited to speak at the CIC. And number 2, we had a new pope. But that's kind of secondary, right? And normally when I am invited to speak, I sort of say, there's more holy men, there's more erudite men, there's more intelligent people than me. But when it comes to talking about anti-Christendom, I actually think that erudition, intelligence and holiness are probably counting against you. So perhaps this is why it was gifted to me. So talking about anti-Christendom and the New World Order religion, what does that even mean? What is anti-Christendom? Well, Christendom as a concept is really something now that we use in the past tense. The geographical, socio-political bounds of Christendom have really been torn down in the last few hundred years.
It is interesting. He's talking about an institution, whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, is not the discussion, that he's talking about this institution of Christendom. I wonder if he's going to ever talk about the church, universal, and even more important than that, the gospel. So y'all keep track on this, keep tabs on this, because I think this is interesting. And the reason I wanted to show this is because it is such an odd discussion. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Let's go.
And really ever since the time of the Reformation and the shattering of the Catholic unity of Europe that had pre-existed with an objective moral standard, has the concept of Christendom been in retreat. And since we're not taking a walk through history and looking back at what historically opposed Christendom in the medieval period, aren't we sort of at a dead end when we're examining the concept of anti-Christendom? Well, the one-word answer is no. Whilst we are correct to say that Christendom is a concept both politically and geographically, and with the exception of Microcosms, such as the CIC socially, really is a dead concept in many ways. The pendulum against Christendom and against what Christendom stood for has actually been picking up speed for centuries. If we want to talk of the several hundred years where Christendom was established, built up, and then became the dominant political force, we have seen the mirror image occur in the forces of anti-Christendom. Having battled against the dominant Christian worldview for centuries, anti-Christendom found its intellectual footing in the Enlightenment and then perfected itself in the Satanic century, which is the 20th century. The human mind, truly unfettered from all previous moral standards, went completely mad and brought death, destruction, and genocide on a level that had never previously been seen. And I don't just mean the obvious examples of all the wars. I also mean the sexual revolution that eats humanity from the inside and corrupts the inner fabric of the soul. I also mean the neoliberal gospel of libertarian capitalism that commoditizes human beings into P&L statements. And
I did not have capitalism catching strays during this speech on my bingo board. How in the world is capitalism getting y'all love this? It's funny, people who take advantage of capitalism, dogging out capitalism is some nasty work. That just will never cease to amaze me. I will never stop being amazed by that. Somebody who's fully taking advantage of all the benefits of capitalism, talking down about capitalism will never not be funny to me. All right, let's go.
I also mean the resurrection of the creed of Pontius Pilate, the first true postmodernist who declared quod est veritas, what is truth? In these three examples alone, we see the philosophical, the intellectual, and the practical assault on the historic territory of Christendom. The forces of anti-Christendom are therefore aping the historic trajectory of Christendom itself. They emerge, they engage in this battle, and then they become the dominant force. In this sense, and this corresponds to what we all know to be true, Christians have been fighting a rearguard action for centuries. We know this to be true because we see it, we feel it. Our society speaks to it, the numbers speak to it. In the 20th century, we saw the highest number of Christians killed, both on an absolute basis and a proportionate basis to global population at any point in human history. We don't need to look far to see the religion of the Antichrist on full display. But of course, at the CIC, we all know this to be true. And this is not really a surprise. What we've been fighting predominantly in this room is actually the modernist infiltration of the one organization that's supposed to stand against the Antichrist, which is the church.
Okay, all right. So he says the church, and I think he means lowercase c Catholic Church. So let's see how the church, lowercase c Catholic Church, is to ward off the Antichrist. All right, let's go.
And despite the onslaught of anti-Christendom forces in the last few hundred years, it actually took until almost all the kinetic wars had stopped for Satan to realize that destroying the church from within would be just as, if not more profitable, than all the bombs and bullets that were falling outside. In times of struggle, people look to God. And so after years of endless human struggle, we became ensnared with the easy living and cheap morals that have become so abundant since the 1960s. Anti-Christendom has actually reached its apogee in the 20th century and in the second half of the 20th century. This is why at the end of the Cold War, the end of religion, and indeed the end of history itself, was touted by philosophers. Christianity was doomed to irrelevancy as the collapse of competing global ideologies made us all neoliberal individualists now.
I know you liked that episode. This is actually a clip from a larger live stream. The link is down in the description, so you can go check it out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you down there. Grace and peace.